Now, say we accept Descartes' argument up to this point, and we've got dualism, and we've got bodies existing, then what is the relation between mind and body? We've got two distinct things. How are we going to think about how they connect? It seems like they're connected, that I think about things and I decide to raise my hand and my hand goes up. Similarly, when there are things that go on in the world that impact my body, light impacts my eyes, then it yields sense perceptions in my mind. So how are we going to think about the relation between mind and body? And this is the fundamental problem with dualism, is trying to articulate what this relationship is. How do mind and body relate to one another? How do sense perceptions get back and forth between the world and the mind and the mind and the world? This is the problem that Descartes leaves us with. So he solves certain kinds of problems by articulating what the mind is, by articulating what the bodies are in his lights. And those are very intuitive articulations of of what a mind and a body are. Many people still hold those ideas today. But he also then leaves us with this problem of dualism, which is how they interact. So let's see what Descartes says about this, and we can look on section 81. Again, the side margins tell you what the section number is, and the paragraph begins at the notation of section 81. By means of these sensations of pain, hunger, thirst, and so on, nature also teaches not merely that I am present to my body in the way a sailor is present in a ship, but that I am most tightly joined and, so to speak, commingled with it. So much so that I and the body constitute one single thing. For if this were not the case, then I, who am only a thinking thing, would not sense pain when the body is injured. Rather, I would perceive the wound by means of the pure intellect, just as a sailor perceives by sight whether anything in his ship is broken. So, if we were just like a sailor in a ship, if we were somehow separate from our bodies, then we wouldn't feel the pain of our bodies. It would be, visually, like we would look at our body and be like, oh yeah, there's a wound and we would need to fix it. There would be more of a separation between mind and body. So there's this commingling somehow that happens. And when the body is in need of food or drink, I should understand this explicitly instead of having confused sensations of hunger and thirst. For clearly these sensations of thirst, hunger, pain, and so on are nothing but certain confused modes of thinking, arising from the union, as it were, the commingling of the mind with the body. So we've got this idea of commingling, which is not terribly helpful. How can a commingling happen if you've got two distinct things? But Descartes articulates the importance of some more deep connection than we would get if mind and body were completely separate. So again, Descartes gives us the terms of the debate about the relation between mind and body, but doesn't really solve the problem of how they're connected, of how they function in the world. And that's the problem that we'll have in this course, trying to figure out how to think about the relationship between mind and body, in particular the relationship between consciousness and the brain. Remember, the brain is the body. The brain is part of the body. So when we have the dualist problem here, we have the problem of pure consciousness being a thinking thing while I'm thinking it, separate from any aspect of the body, separate from being a brain, separate from being in my physical body, separate from being in the physical world. So Descartes takes the mind in Meditation 2 out of anything physical, and then he has the problem of how to put it back together. And this is the problem that we'll be dealing with in the course as we go forward. So be thinking about whether you accept this idea that mind and body are distinct, whether that is useful in how you're going to think about the relationship between mind and body as we go forward.